Good afternoon. How are you? I hope that you are doing exceedingly well. We are remembering to begin the program in honor of the people who are suffering from the aftermath of Hurricane Michael that hit yesterday afternoon. We remembered them yesterday. We will remember them today and tomorrow. Support them in our prayers, and hopefully our pocketbook as Christ leads you. For our program today, is your diet slowly killing you? So many of us are addicted to bad food, we don't see any way of escape. But my guest today is going to help us understand how to escape from that. And she talks about her latest release and also how she sold 1,000 copies of it in 3 months with a lot of foundational work beforehand. And that's what she's going to share with us as we get near the close of the episode. Hi, I'm Patricia Durgan, the Christian Message Coach, and this is Marketers on a Mission. We present marketing tutorials and interviews by and for Christian authors, speakers, and artists. This is episode number 149, How to Sell 1,000 Books in 3 months with author Susan Neal. Hello, Susan. How are you today?
Hi, Patricia. I'm doing wonderful, and I also live on the Gulf Coast. So I know about hurricanes, and we were fortunate in Pensacola to not have any issues and problems, but I just feel and pray for all those in the Panama City area. It's like a war zone afterwards.
It's pretty frightening. It's pretty frightening. It came so quickly. Well, let's talk about your credentials for just a minute. Let's just go over them very lightly. You're an RN. You have your RN and your MBA degree, a master's in health science. You're a certified Christian health and wellness coach through the American Association of Christian Counselors. You're a busy lady, and you have been for a long time.
Yes, I love being busy.
You like to learn.
I love to learn. Lifelong learner. Love it.
While you drew from that education for your book, the actual impetus for the book was your own health issue and your sister had one. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. When I turned 50, I lost my health. For 49 years, I had great health, and then it all went downhill. I had an abscessed tooth that caused 10 medical diagnoses and 2 surgeries. I was so sick, I could barely just deal with running the household as a mother. And the doctors could only do so much for me. And then they were like, and then I had to figure it out on my own. So I went back to my nursing background and my master's in health science, holistic methods, and I healed my body after about a year. So what I want to do is I understand the destructive nature of being sick. It's absolutely terrible. And so I want to help others to reclaim their health so that they can feel good and feel energetic and get up in the morning and want to be, doing things and have feel happiness and joy just from being alive, because that's what God wants for us.
Yes. Now, there may be some people watching either the live or the replay, and they don't know what holistic medicine is or a holistic alternative. Will you explain that for us?
Yes, like for example, one of the problems I had was a candida infection of the gut. And so a candida is yeast, and God made us to where we have a balance with that. We have our probiotic, we have our yeast, and then we give ourselves antibiotics to kill, different things going on, like I had with my abscessed tooth and the root canal and everything. And then that kills the probiotic. You have this yeast that overgrows. Well, it overgrew. I had candidiasis, which is an overgrowth, and the doctors my internal medicine doctor had no idea how to treat it. So I had to look at diet. I had to look at herbs and cleanses and probiotics and give those things to myself and learn what the yeast eats off of. It eats off of sugar and carbs and alcohol. So that's why I was craving those kinds of things, whereas I never craved chocolate before that in my whole life. And now I was eating a little Ghirardelli chocolate every night. So I cured Yeah, I cured the candida infection through the holistic method of not drugs, but diet and herbs.
Excuse me.
And in my book, I tell you about how you can figure out whether you have a candida infection, because there's like a little, a lot of us have taken antibiotics and you just have no idea if you have this and if this might be the culprit for why you're craving sugar and carbs and alcohol. And if it is, you can do a little simple test and then you can figure it out. And then you can take a candida cleanse. You can go on this low sugar carbohydrate diet and take probiotics and heal yourself. It's kind of like a parasite.
Oh heavens. When you put it that way, it's takes on a totally
right
different persona.
And you have no idea if you have it.
Yes. And the book it's in the book. The test is in the book, and the cleanse is also in the book, right?
Yes.
Will you show us the book,
yes
please?
Yes,
Will you show us the book?
7 steps to get off sugar and carbohydrates. And it won the Seal Award, which was the most prestigious Christian book award at the largest Christian writers conference in the United States.
We're having some audio problems and some freezing up problems. We had those before we got on air. I'm going to give it just a few more minutes, and if it doesn't clear up, then let's have you back out and come back in, because I don't want anybody to miss what we're talking about. We'll see if the Lord will help it work out His natural way. It was interesting to me when I read about when you found knew that you needed a professional editor, and when you engaged with that person, that editor lost, as he or she was editing the book, lost 25 pounds. That's a great story. In 5 months, was it 25 pounds?
Yes, she learned so much. Yes, and that's the great way to lose. You just lose like a pound a week, and then that's when you keep it off. And it's not by a diet where you go hungry or anything. You can eat. You can eat well, and you feel good.
Mm-hmm. I know that you had 2 tips that you were asked in another interview. One had to do with water and one had to do with wheat. Will you share those 2 tips with us?
Okay, you said water, and what was the other one?
Wheat.
Okay. So water, we don't drink enough water. And, our body is comprised of a lot of water. And what did God give us to drink? He gave us water. So we shouldn't be drinking all these other types of drinks. We need to drink water. I believe in drinking tea or coffee. Drink your 1 to 2 cups, and the rest of the day, drink water. How much should you drink? You should drink your weight. Let's say you weigh 200 pounds, half of your weight in ounces. So that would be 100 ounces. You can divide that by 8 to figure out how many cups, and that's how much you should drink. Now, the other thing is wheat. So what happened to the wheat, and why is it so bad for us? And why is there so much gluten sensitivity today, and there wasn't 50 years ago?
Right.
Because they changed the wheat. It's now hybridized, so it's no longer 4 feet tall. It's 1.5 feet tall, drought resistant, and the gluten is so large that most human beings can't digest it. Now, if you can find the old type of wheat and, from prior to 50 years ago and make your own homemade bread, that's what we ate on for centuries. But what we're eating today is not the same as what the human beings have eaten for centuries. So I believe that the gluten sensitivity is due to the change in the wheat, because gluten is in wheat, barley, and rye. Now tell me, how much rye do you eat? How much barley do you eat? How much wheat do you eat? Bingo. So I recommend not eating wheat.
Okay. Now, I don't know anybody else who's talking about this element of the almost remanufactured wheat plant. How did you discover this?
I did my scientific research. I love scientific research. I love reading those articles. I read about the man who got the Nobel Prize for changing the wheat. Oh, it's just intriguing to me. I love it.
Let me check Facebook. And for those who are watching us live, it would be a help to us if you could give us, hey, Kathy, how are you today? Marlene Houck. It would be great if you could.
Hi, Marlene.
If you could give us some feedback, is this satisfactory with you? We're having some technical problems. A thumbs up or a thumbs down. Is this satisfactory? Waiting while they have a chance to respond to that. And let me go check my Facebook page and see if we have any comments or questions over there. I love the book editor lost 25 pounds because you are so into results, aren't you, Susan?
Oh, yes, yes. And I mean, I love it. I just finished teaching a Christian, I have my book, Christian Study Guide for 7 Steps to Get Off Sugar and Carbohydrates. And I just finished teaching it. And women are like, I've lost 16 pounds in this 6 weeks and I feel so good. And another one is like, oh my gosh, the fog lifted. I have such energy and I've only been doing it a week. Oh, and another one, the Candida cleanse. It only, felt bad for like 3 days and now I feel great. So I love hearing their results.
Yes, it must be so very gratifying.
It is. It is. Yeah, it makes me happy to help others to reclaim their health.
Yes.
Because God wants us to be healthy. And if you want to serve God, you need to feel healthy and energetic to be able to do it. Because if you have a chronic illness or you're suffering with obesity and you've got to go to the doctor and just have to deal with so much like that, that just zaps you. You don't have the time and energy to serve Him the way you want to.
That's right. We're having some good audio. It's clearing up, and Marlene said that she's all right to stick around and us not do anything crazy acrobatic-wise with technology. So we're going to roll on through.
Okay, great.
Thanks for that feedback. Your sister also had some issues too, and that was another layer of your message. Is that right?
Yes. So a couple summers ago, my sister comes to me and we had just found out she was gluten sensitive. So she was diagnosed. You can have a test to see if you're gluten sensitive. And so she's like, Susan, I've got to get off of gluten. So I created the 7-step plan that's in my book. She got off of gluten. She did so wonderful. And then the next year, she is on vacation and she's having rosacea all over her face, these pimples. And she's like, Susan, what is this? I'm like, oh gosh, you need to go to your dermatologist. He diagnosed rosacea. So she did research because, we can do our own research on the internet, right?
That's right.
And she found out, oh, it's due to sugar. I've always been the sugar fiend of the family. So she gave up gluten, she gave up wheat, but she didn't give up sugar. So I'm like, well, let's do the 7 steps again, Kim. And she did. In like 2 weeks, her joints quit aching. Her digestive issues went away. She healed her rosacea. Otherwise, she was going to have to take a medication for her rosacea for the rest of her life. Mm-hmm. That's not healthy. Mm-hmm. So she had marvelous results. So I was like, this is really, I think I'm going to put this in a book. Maybe it can help some other people too.
And there are 7 steps. Can you run through those with us? Okay.
Number 1 is to decide. So that, nobody can force you and make you do that. You have to decide on your own. And then number 2 is going to be acquire knowledge. So like, how would you know to give up wheat or to drink so much water unless you understood why? So you've got to acquire that knowledge. And the other thing you need to acquire is a support system. And these books are written from a Christian perspective. So I believe in getting a accountability/prayer partner. And then that's somebody that you can call upon and use as a resource. And I also believe in memorizing scripture verses to fight temptation. So then number 3 is going to be clean out. So you want to clean out your pantry. You want to clean out your refrigerator. You found out, oh, wheat's really bad. You can either choose to eat it all up and then not buy it again, or you can choose to, get rid of it, give it to somebody. So, and then the other thing you want to clean out is your emotions, because you see, many times we will go to food for our comfort instead of to God. And so we need to look in my Christian study guide. It's really great to do with a group at a church. It will help you get to the deep root of the issue. Is there unforgiveness? Is there abuse? Is there abandonment? Let's get to the core root and the healing. And then once we get to that healing, we can overcome our challenges. And so this book is about getting to root issues. I'm not like into let's give it a drug to cover it up. No. Do you have a food addiction? Do you have a candida infection? Do you have an emotional connection with food that is not healthy? Let's figure this out together. So then you love it. Good.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So the number 4 is to purchase your healthy food. So you want to stock up and have all the good stuff, because you don't want to go hungry. This isn't a diet. This is just changing the way you eat. So we're going to eat the good things, the things God gave you to eat, not what the food manufacturer has given you, because the food manufacturer wants to get you hooked because they want your money. Okay? Think of each plate. Did God create this food, or did the food manufacturer? Like I say, potato chips did not grow in the Garden of Eden, but almonds did. Almonds would be a healthier snack. And one of the ladies in my Bible study, she's like, I carry almonds in my purse all the time now because that's a great healthy snack. It doesn't have to be refrigerated. Isn't that smart?
Yes, yes, yes.
So then number 5 is plan for the start date. And in the 5th chapter of the book, I go through like a 7-day plan. This is what you do every single day. And I say start on a Wednesday, because on the weekend you might not be feeling well, because if you have a food addiction, it's like coming off of a drug. But by Monday or Tuesday, you're going to be feeling better. The fog is lifted. The energy is coming back. So those 4 or 5 days of not feeling as good as you thought, you'll overcome. It's a short period of time. So then the other thing I have in step 5 is 5 steps to gaining freedom from addiction, because addictions are hard to give up.
Yes.
And we have to fight. And there could be a spiritual component to this. And so we're going to look at the spiritual component, because I look at this from a Christian perspective, and we have spiritual natures.
Yes.
Number 6, prepare and eat foods differently. So basically number 6, you started, and you're going to keep going and you implement the plan. And then step 7 is to improve your health for the rest of your life.
I appreciate the fact that, is it the 5th one? The 5th step of 7 is when you start changing your diet.
Yes.
All the others are precursors to help you set you up for success.
It is so true, because part of it is a mindset change. And with this Bible study group, they were like, well, why can't I just eat my tortilla chips? And it was like, well, that's a processed food. I had to get through what is the foods that God gave us versus the food manufacturer. And you really had to change your mindset of the types of foods that you ate. And one of the ladies, she was saying, well, now I have to really think about what I eat. But you know what? If you stocked up your refrigerator and your pantry, you can go ahead and find lots of different things to eat now.
Good stuff. Let me check Facebook again. I think we've had some people join us. Robin Bertram is here. Hey, Robin. So good to see you. She's joined us. And then Kathy and Marlene are still here. Appreciate you being here with us. One of the things that I noticed is you have 3 books. And there's the book itself. Would you show us that again? 7 steps to get off sugar and carbohydrates. And that's the meat. Can we call it that? Is that a bad thing to say?
Yes. No, I believe in eating meat.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
I do. This is not a vegetarian diet, but you could also look at alternatives to meat. You know, beans, nuts, seeds. God gave us an abundance.
Yes.
Fish. So vary your protein.
Yeah. So then you also have a bullet journal. Now, I'm not familiar with what a bullet journal does. What's the purpose of that, Susan?
Okay, so for example, this area is like new healthy living habits. Let's say you don't want to eat chips anymore. So one of your new healthy living habits is I'm going to have little quick snacks. Okay, so I'm going to have almonds. I'm going to have, green apples. I'm going to have, berries and granola. So, okay, a new healthy living habit will be that. Another new healthy living habit will be I'm going to increase my water intake. So it's like little bulleted areas that you fill in. Let's see, what's the next one? Water. You track your water, you track your steps, you track your exercise, you track your food intake.
Okay.
Now, let's say someone has an autoimmune disease or diabetes or is pre-diabetic or has some kind of chronic ailment, or they have a digestive issue or insomnia, and they want to figure out what's it from. If you get this and write down everything you eat and follow all the steps in here, then you are going to figure out the puzzle of what is wrong with my body. And is there some type of a food that is causing me an issue? For example, wheat may be causing someone an issue and they have no idea.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. Now there's a third one, and it's
Yes.
the Bible.
It is the Christian Study Guide for 7 steps to get off sugar and carbohydrate.
So each of those are individual purchase.
Yes.
They are.
Yes, and next month I am publishing the Healthy Living Series mega book. It's 3 books in one. So it'll be all 3 of the books in one mega book.
And I was wondering, marketing-wise, what is you've just published, recently republished, 7 steps. So what is the marketing strategy for having 3 separate books and then putting them all together? Will you explain that to us?
Well, if you bought the 3 books in one, it would be basically the price of 2 books. So the 3 books in one is less expensive to create, etc. So it would be the 3 books in the mega book would be the price of 2 books. And if you're teaching a Bible study, it would be really nice to have the mega book with all 3 of them. Yes. So, and then some people may only want the bullet journal. But this gives them choice.
So you'll still be offering the 3 individual standalone books and the mega book with all 3 combined?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's great. And lots of ease of use. If somebody's going on vacation, on a plane ride, if they're in the hospital setting, someplace unusual that they can't really carry 3 separate individual books around, but they can carry one and keep up with it, and it's handy. No matter what section they want to go to, it's going to be right there all together.
Right.
Good stuff. I like that. Of course, readers, viewers, I'm going to do what I always do, my normal protocol, and we have lots of links for you. Websites, there are two websites, 2 Facebook pages, Amazon pages. All those links will be shared immediately after the episode. Let's see. Now, you just talked to you going to have thinking about, or you definitely decided to have a cookbook, a healthy living cookbook?
I am still deciding. So we'll see what the future holds. So.
Well, we want to know about it. If it happens, we want to know about it.
Okay, thank you.
Now, you have some other things that you do, yoga, but we're going to leave that for another conversation. We're going to stick strictly to this one book because there's so much to talk about. And let me see if we have any questions or comments. And then we're going to get to Michelle Yule. Hello, Michelle. So good to see you. You've just come just at a perfect time because we're going to, even though we're having a little bit of tech issues, we decided to plunge ahead. Tell us how you sold 1,000 books in 3 months. But it wasn't just as easy as that, wasn't it?
By the grace of God. And, you're at the right place at the right time. It ends up that so many people in the United States, 50% of Americans have one chronic illness and 40% are obese. And so these books address that issue for Christians. I wasn't afraid to make this a Christian book because that's who I am. And relying on God's power to help you make changes. So let's see, we want me to go through my marketing or?
Well, what I'd like to do is you've got the 7 points because you like the number 7. I don't know if you even intentionally did this, but let me just go through them quickly and then we can come back to them. Target market, you started with the target market, obviously. You knew who you were talking to before you wrote your first word. You had a passionate personal story. You had a reader benefit / hook. You had an editor who was a professional and very qualified, did a great job for you. You went out and got book reviews from people who were already in your support system, and they were up there before you even officially launched your book. You had a marketing plan, which is dynamic, and a media kit, which is all of those are great, great elements. So I'm most interested in the marketing plan and the media kit. Would you like me to prompt you on a couple of those things?
Sure. I mean, I can start.
You go ahead.
Okay.
It's your story.
For the marketing plan, what I decided is I wanted to be on one magazine, an article in one magazine, one guest blog post somewhere else, and one podcast or Facebook Live show or a blog talk radio show per month for the year of 2018. So I published my book in December of 2017. So that was my goal. And I've come close. I haven't been perfect, but I've come really close. Because I feel as though if my name is out there and I'm talking about this stuff, then they'll go down to the bio and they'll be like, let me see about, and it'll snag them and give them interest. So that was my marketing plan. Now my media kit. So I wanted to create a media kit, and I created one and I sent it to 3 newspapers, and 2 of them did really beautiful spreads. One of them, the Northwest Daily News, they had a faith section. So really going after newspapers with faith sections, since this is Christian, is really a great idea. Okay. So they did, on the faith section, I had 2 articles. The first was Scripture Yoga at the top, and then underneath that was the Christian Study Guide, because I was teaching the Bible study at a church here in the Pensacola area. So it was wonderful. And then last month, I gain so much from going to writers' conferences. And last month, I went to the Advanced Writers and Speakers Association conference in the Christian Product Expo in Nashville. And there I got to meet with publicists and branding people and book marketers, et cetera. And I gained so much knowledge. And I hired a branding specialist to help me with my media kit. So she is really bringing it up to like just level, and it's just like looking gorgeous to where, you have the beautiful blue lines and the pictures. It's not just, verbiage. It just looks like what you would bring a one sheet to a writer's conference is what it looks like. And then what you do with the media kit is you put it in Dropbox. And then I have Googled, there's almost 70 newspapers in the Southeast that have faith sections. So after I finish with the rest of this, perfecting my media kit, then I will send them an email to the faith section editor. And then at the bottom, it won't have things attached. What we'll have is a Dropbox link, because they don't want to open stuff because there's so many viruses.
That's right.
And so I learned that from the publicist in Nashville. So I keep learning.
Yes. I like all of those ideas. So let's go back for just a moment to getting interviewed on a podcast or radio show every month. And let me back up just another step before that, too. You're saying that each month your goal was not just one of these things, but all of these, publishing an article or a guest blog post and being interviewed. All of those three things you wanted
Yes.
to accomplish every month as the Lord allowed.
Yes, ma'am.
You must have had a lot of contacts and had to keep on your toes every moment. That's a lot of activity. How did you? Some are watching that are already established authors. They don't need this information, but there will be other people who do. How did you determine what to say when you were pitching to these hosts, radio show hosts, blog talk radio, and so forth, podcasters?
Well, what a lot of my connections were from writers' conferences. I've been to 4 writers' conferences this year, and anybody who has a magazine, I would go to, CBN, Charisma, One Christian Voice, Southern Writers. I mean, I would just go and I'd meet with them, and I had my beautiful one sheet. And I pitched it, and I just asked if they would like me to write a magazine article. And the health and the Christian people are really looking for that. And every single one I asked said yes.
Wow.
So, so for One Christian Voice, I've written 9 articles. I'm working on my 4th for Charisma. I got on CBN. I'm just keep going. And it's from people that I met at conferences.
So many good reasons to go to conferences.
It is. And then I would meet people at the conference who had a podcast. And it's like, well, here's my one sheet. Would you be interested in having me be on your podcast?
Yes.
And almost all of them said yes. So, I'm just setting up interviews for that. Then with social media, what I did is anytime, I have a friend request, I look at the person, and do they have a podcast or do they have a radio station? If they do, every single time, if it is conducive to what, I would speak about, then I ask them, I direct message them and ask them if it would be okay. Would they be interested in interviewing me? And my goodness, it was 2 weeks ago I did that. And last week I was on a new podcast called Carrie Aller and Coffee Chat. So it was wonderful. It was just from a social media contact.
I love it because everybody.
It doesn't hurt to ask.
Right. Everybody says do it. And the other people, the other half or 60%, they are hesitant, feeling there's some magic potion. There's not. It's hard work, and it's getting yourself out there and making yourself vulnerable for somebody to say no. And usually they'll say yes.
And you know what helped me with all the no's? Because I wrote the 7 steps to get off sugar and carbohydrates. I had so many different no's, upper room, chicken soup, this one, that one, no. And I read how Stephen King had like a big spike in his bedroom, and he would put all the no's on top, he'd nail it to the spike, over and over. And if he had so many no's, then it's okay for us, for somebody like me, it's okay. It's not personal.
Yes, yes. And it is not the definitive answer from God because someone else said no. If he said yes, move forward.
And for me, what I realized is God didn't want me working on that other stuff. He wanted me to help Christians reclaim their health. That's what I'm good at. I'm a health nut. I live what I speak, and it works. And that's what he wanted me to do. He wants Christians to feel good.
Isn't that good news? Let me check Facebook one more time. Carol Jackson's here. Hello, Carol. She's flagging some of her friends to come on over. Both the good resources, both the, oh, how kind, Carol. Thanks very much. All right, let's see if we have any questions or comments, and then we will close out. But I'd like to invite you to come back because you have a lot more information that we could find very valuable. So as you and the Lord decide you have free time, we'd like for you to rejoin us. This is good, deep stuff. We could all stand to listen to it again. And then by the time that happens, you're going to have even more results. And your audience is going to have more results.
Yes, yes. And I'll have to tell you how the media kits go to the face sections of newspapers.
Yeah, we're very interested in that. Okay, good stuff. Excuse me.
Yes, and like the publicist said that she thought January would be a great month to have radio shows because that's after the holidays and stuff, and I'm into healthy eating, so I'm planning on that for January.
That sounds like a natural segue, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I get all these great ideas from others.
Yes. I understand that. Thank you so much for joining us. We have more to talk about. We'll do that in a future segment. This has been so informative and helpful. And show us the books again, please, one more time. 7 Steps to Get Off Sugar and Carbohydrates, the Bullet Journal, and the Christian Study Guide that can be used individually or definitely in a small group. And it's all Christian related, Christian based. Susan Neal, there we go. Exchanging bad for good. That's the whole Christian experience right in a nutshell, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yes, yes.
Thank you, viewers. I so appreciate you being here. Susan and I both do. And if you have questions or comments, follow up, we'd be glad to answer those for you. This has been Marketers on a Mission, episode number 149, How to Sell 1,000 Books in 3 Months with author Susan Neal. Now, we didn't talk about this very much, but this was set up and in place for a long time, step by step by step, before you had your pre-launch phase. This is an important point. You didn't start all of this activity the day that you put your Amazon page up.
No.
True. You had a plan.
True.
You worked your plan.
Right. And part of the plan was my target market. I wrote to them and then, folded it out from there.
Yes. So it's the same thing that we're told to do, and yet Susan has done it with excellence. And it sounds like you didn't miss any. You overturned every rock to see, is there an opportunity from God here? Yes or no? And then you went to the next opportunity. Is this from God? Does he want to open this door? And where others would be swayed or disappointed and stop, you kept going.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, you just have to keep going. You know your nose. That it could be that God wants you to do something else. And he did. I just had to figure it out. It took me a couple years. Okay.
But now you have a system, and you can use that very same system with all your successive books.
Yes, I sure can.
Love that. So let me close again because I got excited and went back over. Thank you for joining me, Susan. Thank you, viewers. Tomorrow I'm going to be presenting 10 blog post ideas and where to get over 50 more. We're here every weekday, at 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern. This program is designed exclusively for you. Are you a Christian writer, speaker, or artist? Do you want to learn more about marketing online? That's where your audience is. We welcome you to join us tomorrow and every weekday. And Susan Neal and I both say thank you very much for being here.